Talk about a solid resume! I'm Ashley with WatchMojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 Game of Thrones stars you forgot were on Doctor Who. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're taking a look at Game of Thrones cast members who appeared on Doctor Who before, during, or after their tenure on the HBO fantasy series. Number 10, Harry Lloyd. It feels like a lifetime ago that we last saw Harry Lloyd portray Daenerys Targaryen's scheming older brother, Viserys, on Game of Thrones. After all, so much has happened since his death in the Season 1 episode, A Golden Crown, compliments of Khal Drogo.
A crown for king.
Despite appearing in just 5 episodes, Lloyd's portrayal of Viserys remains the pinnacle of his acting career, with most of his pre-Thrones work having been forgotten. As such, you may be surprised to learn that he had a 2-episode arc on Doctor Who in 2007.
That's impossible.
Lloyd played Jeremy Baines and Son of Mine in the Series 3 episodes Human Nature and The Family of Blood. And just like Viserys, his fate was not a happy one.
As for me, I was suspended in time, and the Doctor put me to work standing over the fields of England as their protector.
Number 9, Thomas Brodie-Sangster. This baby-faced actor has a lot in common with our previous entry. Both men had relatively short stints on Game of Thrones before being killed off in dramatic fashion, and both appeared in the same 2-episode arc of Doctor Who back in 2007. Talk about a small world.
I can't help it. It's just some sort of luck.
Whereas Harry Lloyd played a villain in both series, Thomas Brodie-Sangster's characters fought alongside the heroes. First as Timothy Tim Latimer, using telepathic abilities to help David Tennant's 10th Doctor defeat the Family of Blood, and later as Jojen Reed, who also possessed special powers that he used to help Brandon Stark locate the Three-Eyed Raven.
We've come a long way to find you, Brandon. And we have much farther to go.
Number 8, Robert Pugh. In a show littered with unredeemable characters, Robert Pugh's Craster is up there with the worst of them.
Don't it make you jealous, old man? See me with all these young wives and you with no one to warm your bed?
We're talking about a man who fathered children with his own daughters and sacrificed his infant sons to the White Walkers. In the end, Craster got what was coming to him, and the show bid Robert Pugh adieu in Season 3. However, prior to appearing on Thrones, Pugh played the much more likeable Tony Mack in the 2-part Doctor Who story Hungry Earth/Cold Blood.
How much further do you think we can go, Mac?
Into the unknown. Exciting, isn't it?
Pugh's character gets attacked by the Solarians and pulled underground, where he ultimately chooses to remain so that he can be with the woman he loves. Something tells us that Pugh's time on Doctor Who isn't what won him the role of Craster.
I'm not gonna see you again, am I?
I'll be here. Always.
Number 7, Faye Marsay.
Who are you?
I told you I'm not... Do that again!
Prior to being cast as the waif in Season 5 of Game of Thrones, Faye Marsay appeared in the 2014 Doctor Who Christmas special, Last Christmas. Marsay played Shona McCullough and was originally slated to serve as Jenna Coleman's replacement.
We're monitoring your bodily functions.
And how are you monitoring that? Because that's rude.
That is perverted.
Coleman, who served as companion to the 11th and 12th iterations of the Doctor, had originally planned to leave the show following Last Christmas, but opted to remain on after experiencing a change of heart.
You don't seem much like a scientist.
Well, that's a bit rude, coming from a magician.
Therefore, Coleman's decision was partly responsible for Marsay landing the role of Arya Stark's abusive tutor at the House of Black and White.
You can't change that. I can't change that. No one can.
Number 6, Ben Crompton.
I was born in a place like this. Later, I fell on hard times.
Ben Crompton landed the role of Edison Tollett in Season 2 of Game of Thrones, and managed to survive all the way into Season 8. An impressive feat for a brother of the Night's Watch. During that time, Crompton continued to appear in various films and TV shows, but in 2014, he portrayed a soldier named Ross in the Doctor Who episode Into the Daleks.
We're here to shoot you dead if you turn out to be a Dalek spy.
Well, that's a relief. I hate babysitters.
Unfortunately for Crompton, his character met with a grisly end, thereby eliminating any chance of a longer story arc. Seeing as how he played a much larger role on Thrones, we understand if you don't remember Crompton's brief stint on Doctor Who. Number 5, David Bradley.
My granddaughter, Winterfell. Waldina.
I'm Mary.
Fine.
Despite appearing in only a handful of episodes, Walder Frey remains one of Game of Thrones' most iconic villains. The vengeful curmudgeon was brought to life by English actor David Bradley, who played Argus Filch, another bitter old man in the Harry Potter film series.
I'll kill you! Argus!
With 2 major pop culture phenomena on his resume, it's totally understandable if you don't remember his multiple contributions to the Whoniverse. Bradley played the baddie Solomon in the Series 7 episode Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and later portrayed William Hartnell, the original Doctor, in the 2013 biopic An Adventure in Space and Time.
Anybody know how to make it go?
Oh, for Christ's sake, doesn't anyone know how to do anything?
Bradley would go on to reprise the role of the first Doctor in the episodes The Doctor Falls and Twice Upon a Time.
My TARDIS. Look at my TARDIS.
This is impossible.
Have I been burgled?
But it's
Hideous.
Number 4, Joe Dempsie. Even if Gendry had just kept on rowing until the end of his days, it'd still be Joe Dempsie's most well-known character to date. Alas, Gendry eventually made it back to King's Landing and has been a recurring character on Game of Thrones through its final 2 seasons.
I'm not whinging. Your lips are moving and you're complaining about something. That's whinging.
Before being cast as everyone's favourite Westerosi blacksmith, Dempsie appeared in a number of popular British shows, including a 1-episode stint on Doctor Who.
You're going nowhere. You don't make sense, you two. No guns, no marks, no fight in you. I'm taking you to General Cobb.
He played Klein, a human-esque soldier engaged in a war for a terraforming device known as the Source. The episode is worth checking out, if only to see a young Joe Dempsie mixing it up with David Tennant's 10th Doctor.
Let us give her a proper ceremony. I think it'd help us. Please.
Number 3, Diana Rigg. This BAFTA-winning actress has had no shortage of memorable roles in a career that spanned over 60 years. However, her portrayal of the no-nonsense matriarch Olenna Tyrell on Game of Thrones has likely dwarfed all that came before it.
It was horrible enough for me. A shocking scene. Not at all what I intended.
Seeing as how Rigg started acting in 1957, it's a bit of a shock that it took her until 2013 to finally land a role on Doctor Who.
We're so very sorry for your loss.
Well, it would appear that it was worth the wait, as not only did she turn in a spine-chilling performance as Mrs. Gilliflower, she got to do it opposite her daughter, fellow actress Rachel Sterling. The episode, which you should totally check out, is titled The Crimson Horror, and it's directed by fellow Thrones alumni Mark Gatiss.
Oh yes, Doctor. Exceedingly close. Symbiotic, you might say.
Number 2, Liam Cunningham. Long before he was cast as Davos Seaworth on Game of Thrones, Liam Cunningham was in the running to become the 8th Doctor, a role that ultimately went to Paul McGann.
We may as well be taking shit back here. Follow!
While it didn't work out in Cunningham's favour then, he did eventually find a place in the Whoniverse in 2013. Cunningham was cast as Captain Zhukov, the commander of a Soviet submarine that gets attacked by an ice warrior in the series' 7th episode, Cold War. The episode saw the Doctor going toe-to-toe with Grand Marshal Skaldak, who nearly triggers World War III. While we loved seeing Cunningham in the episode, a small part of us can't help but wonder how he'd have fared in the lead role all those years ago.
Sir. Dismissed. Steppersham.
Number 1, Ian Glen.
There is no word for thank you in Dothraki.
As is the case with many of Game of Thrones' biggest stars, Ian Glen will forever be associated first and foremost with the fantasy series. However, that doesn't mean we should forget about his past work. Prior to becoming Ser Jorah Mormont, Glen portrayed Father Octavian in the 2-part Doctor Who story, The Time of Angels / Flesh and Stone.
Has Dr. Song explained what we're dealing with?
Working alongside the 11th Doctor, his companion Amy Pond, and future companion River Song, Father Octavian helps the trio fight the Weeping Angels, but fails to escape with his life in a death just as noble as his Game of Thrones counterpart.
I will die in the knowledge that my courage did not desert me at the end. For that I thank God, and bless the path that takes you to safety.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK and subscribe for more great content.